One of the high expenses that we incur on our poultry farms is the cost of the feeds. Actually, it takes around 70% of all the expenses that we incur on our poultry farms. So in today's video, allow me to discuss how we can reduce on this cost such that we can be able to maximize the profits. And we know that this cost directly affects our profits. So if we can be able to manage this cost and reduce it, we will be able to maximize our profits and be able to earn a lot from this poultry business. So the expenses that we always incur on our farms, we always have the cost of feeds, and then the bills. The bills, it includes the water, and then electricity, and then labor. And when we compare all these costs that we incur, this cost of feed is the highest cost. Actually, it takes around 70% of all these costs. For example, here in my country, labor is not so expensive. Labor is manageable. And then water. Some people be able to dig a hole and then pump water from underground, and which means here they have zero cost, they have zero bills. And then also for electricity, some people use solar, so which means all these other costs are manageable, but then the cost of feeds. I've been talking in most of my videos, especially those videos where I was talking about the feeding formulas. I've been saying that your kilo should be costing you only 1,200 Ugandan shillings. When it costs you only that, you will find that you're making some money. And what I have come to realize in poultry business, it's not all about the percentages of production that you're producing at your farm, but what matters is the difference, the money that you put in your pocket at the end of the day. It doesn't make sense if you're spending too much money. For example, you're spending 2,000 shillings per kilo, and then you're producing 98%. It is the cost of feeding, the cost of production will be so high, and you will find that the profits, that your net profit it's just there, it's not making sense. So what matters is the difference that you take in your pockets at the end of the day. You find that a person who has managed her cost of feed so well and produces the eggs at 70% is better than someone who is not managing the cost of feeds and is producing at 98%. You find that this person at the end of the day, this person who is producing at 70% is making more profits when you compare him with the other person who is producing at 98%. So what I want to encourage us farmers, let us make sure that we calculate these things, that we plan our things and make sure that we are making some money from this business. I've come to realize that some farmers do not know how to calculate these things. There is a farmer I visited. I found out that he doesn't know anything. When you ask about how much is your kilo, how much do you spend on a kilo, they don't know anything. For them, they are just there. They produce eggs, sell, and then they know that at the end of the day they are going to remain with some money when they buy feeds. But I want to tell you that that is wrong. You have to know how your kilo costs, how much you're spending on feeds per day, and then you know that at least each and every day I'm able to make this profit. When I less the money for the feeds, I'm able to remain with this amount of money each and every day. So here, let me first show you how you come up with a kilo, the cost per kilo. And it's just simple, because some people were asking me that how do you calculate this thing. So it is just a very simple calculation. You just get, so when you go to the feed store and then you buy your feeds, you get the receipt and you get that total that you have spent, including the transport, to transport those feeds up to the farm. You include it. For example, let's say that you have spent 2 million Ugandan shillings. This is the total money. So let's say that you have spent 2 million to buy your feeds. And then this 2 million, you have bought, for example, 2 tons. And 2 tons, I mean 2,000 kilograms. So you just get this figure 2 million and you divide by the 2 tons, that is 2,000. When you divide, so which means here you're going to get 1,000 Ugandan shillings. So this means that your kilogram, 1 kilogram costs you 1,000 Ugandan shillings. So this is very simple. That is how you're supposed to calculate, and you know how much you're spending on each kilo. And when you find out this, that you're spending this on a kilo, it will be so easy for you to know how much you're spending on feeds per day. For example, if I told you give your chicken 200 kilograms, so let's say you're giving your chicken 200 kilograms. So it means that you're going to get this 200, you multiply by this one, the money that you spend on a kilo, which means that here you spend 200,000 Ugandan shillings per day. So if you get to know this, then it will be so easy for you to know the profit that you're making each and every day. So why am I telling you this? When you find that your kilo is more than 1,200 Ugandan shilling, just know that that formula of yours is so expensive. When I had begun this poultry farming, I wasn't calculating. I was also like the other farmers who were just buying feeds and then sell eggs and just keep a small difference that will stay with her. So I wasn't doing enough in calculating my business. Yeah, this is a business, and the investment, the capital that you put in is so much. So you cannot afford to just stay there and you're not calculating your things. And just know, if you do not calculate your business, you're going to make losses and you'll find that you're out of business. And these are the people who come and then they start discouraging us from beginning poultry farming. So you have to know. So if you find that your kilo is more than 1,200 shillings, you have to start from there and you try to make sure that you get a formula which is so favorable for you. I want to tell you that do not mind about the percentage. Me, I do not mind about the percentages of production. I mind about how much I take in my profits at the end of the day. So when you find that your formula is expensive, you have to revise your formula and do some adjustments and make sure that your formula is favorable. So when you get to know how to calculate these things, you will be able to plan and make sure that you come up with something that is going to work for you. Because when you start calculating these things, you will find that you're making little money at the end of the day, or you're making so much money at the end of the day, and this is going to help you a lot. And then another way on how we can reduce on the cost of feeds. I've been talking about stocking the maize when the maize is so much on the market. Yeah,
My
if you want
posted
to reduce
rate,
on the cost of the
that
feeds,
is the
please
maize.
make
When
sure
those
that
places
you
cover it
stock
is
the
maize.
maize.
All these ones are
Make sure
maize.
that for you ever at
These
your
ones, all
farm
these
you're
maize.
producing at a low cost. When you stock the maize, it is
It's the
going to help you
40.
during these other seasons where the cost of maize is so high. Here in my country, there is a time when the cost of maize, I mean a kilogram, reached 2,000 Ugandan shillings. So this cost was so much. Actually, during this season, most of the farmers went out of business because they could not afford the cost of production. So for someone who had planned and stocked their maize, when the maize was so much on the market, they are the people who were able to manage the costs because they were producing at a low cost. If you want to cut the cost of feeds, make sure that you're prepared. When this season comes, you have enough resources and you stock the maize. And then the stocking of maize has its own challenges, and these are the challenges. If you stock maize which is not dry, it's going to go bad. And then another thing, when stocking the maize and
That's always
the rats
nice.
come and feed on it, it's going to go bad. So when
This
you're
side
stocking your maize,
sorry.
make sure that you stock the
This
maize
side
which is so dry. And when you buy the maize from the farmers and you're not sure that the maize is dry, get your tarpaulin, spread it somewhere, then dry your maize and make sure that the maize is dry, which you're going
always
to
nice.
keep. To make sure that you buy the
That
pallets
is
or wood,
sorry.
because when coldness comes,
This side always
it
sorry.
will enter the maize and it spoils them. So you have to make sure that you place your sacks on pallets whereby the coldness is not going to access your maize. And then another thing, you have to store in a good store whereby it is enclosed and rain does not access that place. There you will be so safe, and when time comes you will be smiling when you're producing your eggs at a low cost. Another way on how we can reduce on the cost of feeds is to make sure that we avoid wastage of feeds at the farm. Make sure that you don't have rats at the farm. If you did not know, these rats consume the chicken feeds. And if you're having a very big population of rats at your farm, for example, if at your farm you're having 500 rats, because each rat consumes around 10 grams of feed. If you have a population of 500 rats at your farm, you will find that 5 kilograms are missing. And if you are to count in a month, those are very many kilograms of feeds which are gone. So you have to make sure that you reduce on that population of rats. And how do you reduce? By trapping and killing those rats regularly. You can put that each and every week you will trap the rats and kill. And then another thing, you have to make sure that your birds are beaked so well, because if the birds have these beaks spill the food when they are eating, and then the linkages are so many, so you will find that a lot of food is wasted. And then also in the chicken house, make sure that you have enough feeders, in that you put small portions of feed. That way the feed is not going to power on the floor and it is wasted. In conclusion of what I've just talked about here, if you have a cheap formula, you're going to make crazy money in this business, in this poultry farming. And then also, if you learn how to store the maize, and make sure that you're producing at a low cost all the time, you're going to make crazy money from this poultry farming. And also, if your management is so good at your farm, you're also going to reduce on this cost of feeds, and you're going to make crazy money, and you will enjoy this poultry farming. So if you're new on this channel, I'm called Lillian and I'm from Kevala Farm. Please consider subscribing to this channel, and if you like this video, please like it and share it with your friends. So thank you so much for watching me. Bye bye. Let me see you in my next video.